It's summer, and all 10-year-old Bug wants to do is go to the beach with her older brother and hang out with the locals, just like they have for the last 2 years. But now Danny wants his space, and Bug is stuck hanging out with their neighbor Philip's nephew, Frankie, who has come for a visit. Bug thinks it's a little weird that Philip hasn't met Frankie before, but when she discovers that Frankie is also fascinated by the Midnight Marauder, a criminal on the loose in the LA area, she realizes that it might not be so bad after all. Determined to catch the attacker, Frankie and Bug spend their days looking for clues, mapping out the marauder's movements, and even staking out a mysterious neighbor. But when violence strikes close to home and lands Philip in the hospital, all of that is forgotten as the pair struggles to figure out who would want to hurt Philip and why. With their focus turned inward, old secrets and new truths start to bubble to the surface, teaching Frankie and Bug some important lessons about what makes a family, about being your true self, and about how to navigate in a world that's not always just or fair. Here is a preview of Frankie and Bug by Gayle Forman. 10 days before school let out, Mama announced that summer was canceled. She didn't say it straight out like that, but she might as well have. What she did say to Bug was, "What would you like to do this summer?" This was a dumb question. Mama knew what Bug wanted to do this summer. The same thing she'd done for the last 2 summers, ever since Danny had persuaded Mama that there was no need to spend good money on the Y camp, which they both hated. Danny quietly so, and Bug noisily. Now that he was old enough to watch them both all summer, for free. "You can buy a new car instead," Danny had said. Clever of him, Bug thought, because Mama was always complaining about the Datsun and its busted air conditioner. So after very elaborate negotiations with Philip and Hedvig, their upstairs and downstairs neighbors, who each sometimes watched Danny and Bug, and yet another consultation with Kip, the always sunburned lifeguard who manned Tower 19, Mama had to agree to let them spend the summers alone. With conditions, she said. Conditions, Bug had soon discovered, was another name for rules, but conditions sounded nicer. Mama typed the conditions onto a piece of thick, fancy paper she used at her job at the mayor's office. Then she made Danny and Bug both sign it. This, she explained, turned conditions into a contract. The contract promised that Bug and Danny would 1. Always go to Tower 19 and check in with Kip. 2. Always swim together if they went in past their knees. 3. Never touch so much as a toe in the water if the riptide flag was up. And 4. Always stay together. Rule number 4 was typed up in just the same way as the others, but Mama repeated its importance so often that Bug understood it was the most important one of all. Bug was not generally fond of rules, even when they were called conditions, but this one, the idea that she and Danny must always stay together, well, she liked that one just fine. It made her feel safe. The list had been taped to the refrigerator that first beach summer, and all that following fall and winter. In the spring, when Mama was doing her big cleaning, she had taken it down. But Bug had retrieved the paper from the trash and hung it back up. She'd told Mama it was because she might forget the rules this coming summer, but the truth was the list had become a promise, the promise of summer. For almost 3 years, the list had stayed on the fridge, fastened into place with a ladybug magnet. So when, in the waning days of 4th grade, Mama asked what Bug wanted to do for the upcoming summer, the answer was obvious. "I want to go to the beach," Bug told Mama. Mama got a funny look on her face, which in turn gave Bug a funny tickling in her stomach. Mama called this the gut voice and told Danny and Bug to listen to it. But Bug didn't want to listen to her gut voice because what it was saying, even before Mama said, "I think we might need to change it up this summer," was that summer was about to be canceled. Why do we have to change it up? Bug wasn't entirely sure what changing it up meant, but she didn't want to ask lest she look babyish. That was Danny's favorite insult as of late, and there was no way she would prove it true. "It's just that Danny," Mama stopped herself. Daniel, that was what Danny wanted to be called now, "needs a bit of space this summer." Bug had been hearing a lot about Daniel's need for space these past few months. First, early in the spring, Danny had told Mama that he didn't want to go to the magnet school he and Bug had both attended since kindergarten. This coming fall, he would be attending Venice High School. A few weeks after that, Mama had taken Bug out for ice cream on the Santa Monica Pier and told Bug she was getting her own room. For a brief second, Bug had thought they were moving to one of those big houses with wall-to-wall carpeting and grassy backyards with pools, like the one her friend Beth Ann lived in. But then, why would Mama be taking her out for ice cream to deliver good news? Ice cream was for bad news. The bad news was this. Bug was being moved out of the biggest bedroom she and Danny had always shared and into a tiny alcove next to the bathroom that Mama had sometimes used as an office. It was too small to fit a bed and a dresser and desk, so with Hedvig's blessing, she was their landlady as well as their downstairs neighbor, Mama and Philip built Bug a sleeping loft. Bug did like the loft. It had a wooden ladder and her window looked out onto a big magnolia that made it feel like she was sleeping in a treehouse. But even if she liked the room okay, that didn't mean she wanted it. No one had asked if she wanted it. And worse, Danny got to keep the biggest room instead of switching with Mama, who had the medium-sized room. It just wasn't fair. Bug had complained to Mama about this, which was a big mistake. One thing about Mama was that she didn't give two hoots about fair. And now, Daniel's need for space meant that Bug's summer was canceled. "It's just that Daniel," Mama was explaining, "has babysat you for the past few summers." Babysat? Bug was offended. "Danny doesn't babysit me. In summer we go to the beach. It's what we do." "Well, this summer we're going to have to figure out something else for you to do." School had yet to let out, but Bug could feel the summer slipping through her fingers like sand at the beach, which she would not be going to. This has been a preview of Frankie and Bug.